The U.S. Coast Guard is on the front line of the rescue efforts, using an armada of boats and helicopters to get residents to safety. Lieutenant Commander Michael Addonizio is helping lead those operations. We spoke earlier about the challenges they are facing.
We're getting calls for rescues continuously, and that's been nonstop since the incident began. We have multiple aircraft, multiple small boats, state, multiple counties, city, and multiple federal resources all in the water, all in the air at the same time. And their rescues are nonstop. Give us an idea of the kinds of scenarios you're running into. Say that there's a shelter, or say there's a specific home, taking water, rising flood water. We'll immediately dispatch a helicopter. We'll try to prioritize those as best we can to the most urgent case. But as our helicopter is en route, that helicopter may then encounter another person in distress that we may not have realized was in distress. Say they weren't able to make an emergency call. So we'll really have to trust the on-scene initiative, the on-scene experience of our pilots and our boat crews to have to make some very tough decisions as to which people they do rescue and which people they come back to later. And that is an extremely difficult thing, and that's something that that weighs on all of us here. Tell me a little bit about the resources you have there at your disposal. How many aircraft exactly? How many crews? Do you need more help? This morning, when we deployed for operations, I had over 21 Coast Guard small boat teams, our small boat punt teams, and our airboat ice rescue teams from District 9. These are our shallow water flood experts. I had access to 21 of those boats and in excess of 50 to 60 personnel specifically trained for these types of operations. I had access to them this morning. I was able to get them out in the field very early, get them to areas where we were receiving the most calls, and immediately have them to start rescues. In some cases, immediately just getting people from danger to high ground. With the aircraft, I'm just going to speak in excess of 20 Coast Guard helicopters, and that includes other aircraft. We have state aircraft, we have other DHS aircraft, we have DOD aircraft, and they're continuing to muster and continuing to assemble. A little bit unusual in this situation is the crews are flying through ongoing hazardous weather. How much is that hampering efforts, and how much are you concerned about the safety of these crews? I think you hit it right on the head. I think that the unique challenge of this particular storm, of this particular weather event, has extremely complicated rescue operations and rescue coordination for the air crews that are having to fight through some hazardous weather. But the fact that the rain and the continual floodwaters has made transportation, has made coordination extremely difficult. Lieutenant Commander Michael Addonizio with the United States Coast Guard. Keep up the good work. Thank you for your time. Thank you, sir. Those rescue efforts might be the most immediate, but they are just part of how Houston is grappling with Harvey. Police Chief Art Acevedo describes the magnitude of the situation.
Well, our priority is saving lives. We are getting so many calls for people requiring rescue from rising floodwaters, and unfortunately, so far we have more calls than we have capacity. Our response to teams from the state and other cities are having a hard time actually accessing the area of operation here, the OR, and it just seems that every time we think we're going to get a break, the weather keeps getting worse, and the rain just will not stop, and the flooding is just getting worse.
I read that at one point in the midst of this, an individual 911 operator would have as many as 250 calls on hold. Where do you stand on that right now, and how are you getting help to people who need it?
The Houston Police Department has responded to over 60,000 calls for service. We have rescued over 2,000 of our fellow Houstonians. Fortunately, the backlog was down on the hold at one point last night to just 10. But now the rain and the flooding is starting to spread to places that historically haven't even flooded, and so it's going to start getting worse again. And the bottom line is a lot of folks are even using social media, and we're actually monitoring it to get help to folks. So it's been all hands on deck, and it just seems that there's no end in sight to the tragedies that our community is facing.
Of course, Houston is renowned for its medical center. One of the hospitals there, the Ben Taub Hospital, was of great concern. I know evacuating patients from there was a big priority. Bring us up to date on that.
Well, we had to evacuate that hospital. There are other hospitals that are here in Houston that are at a level where that may become an issue. I even heard recently that even a hospital down in Pasadena, which is a city near us, their hospital is not functioning normally. So to say this is a perfect storm is an understatement. This is a storm of historical proportions, and when we're done, they'll be talking about it for many generations to come.
Chief, what do you need right now the most?
We absolutely need more rescue boats. We need more rescue boats in our AOR. We need more aircraft. But again, the problem with aircraft is that the Coast Guard has done heroic in their efforts, but they can't operate 24/7 because of the weather conditions, and the relief boats that are coming from DPS and the National Guard are still having difficulty trying to get into the AOR because of flooded freeways, and unfortunately, it's not just flooded freeways in and around Houston. We've been having that issue throughout the state. There's a big debate about whether should the city have been evacuated, not evacuated. Well, people are forgetting that this entire state has been deluged, but the one place where it has not stopped is the city of Houston and the Houston region.
Looking back on that decision about evacuations, do you feel you made the right call?
Well, listen, if you know anything about the state of Texas, our highways are prone, and our rural community in the entire state is prone to flash floods. Just yesterday, which was 3 days into this event, DPS, our Department of Public Safety troopers, 500 troopers could not get past the city of Bastrop, the town of Bastrop, on the way to Houston. I'm convinced that we would already be talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of lives lost had we put an entire populace, tried to put a regional 6.5 million, because I'm not sure we would have taken them. This entire state, it seems like, it's been underwater, and now that water is all headed here.
Art Acevedo is the police chief in Houston. Thank you.
Thank you, and if you believe in the good Lord above, I don't care what religion, please send prayers our way.
The American Red Cross is also on the scene in Texas to help thousands of people in need. I spoke with Mary Jane Mudd from the Brown Convention Center in Houston, where they are providing shelter and aid. Thank you very much for joining us. I know you're extremely busy. Give us an overview of the Red Cross response to Harvey so far.
The response has been astronomical because the storm has been astronomical. It hit us a few days ago down in South Texas, and it made its way here to Houston. Last night we provided shelter for over 1,600 people in 34 shelters up and down the Texas Gulf Coast. And now in this shelter, 2,900 people, and currently there are 3,800 people here who have registered today. It's just growing and growing and growing. It is just major. I have lived here 25 years, and I have never seen anything like it. There's water lapping at our front door. My husband informed me as well. We live about a half hour away. But my heart is broken for those who are here because they've lost everything. The Red Cross is all about the response to this sort of thing. We've been planning for this. We've had supplies coming in, tractors, emergency response vehicles, enough food and hygiene products and comfort items for 34,000 people. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. It's going to go on a long time, and that's what we're trying to do, is bring some comfort, have those things available, have the people here to make them feel comfortable when they've lost everything.
And it's not over. We're told, another punch is anticipated a little bit to the east of where you are right now. Is the Red Cross able to respond to that, or are you strained as it is?
Well, this is what the Red Cross prepares for. I mean, we are about three things: preparedness, response, and recovery. And 2 weeks ago, we were telling people how to prepare, how they would need to evacuate, things like that. But when we saw this was going to happen, working with our partners, our city officials, and looking at the maps and the models and figuring all this out, our organization knew this was going to happen. Therefore, yes, we brought in those supplies. We talked to our shelter partners, and our shelters have been on active standby for a long time. So the answer to you is, this shelter will hold up to 5,000 people. But after this is full, there are other shelters because there are other partners and because the Red Cross was out ahead of it. We're ready for it. It doesn't mean it's easy. There's a lot of heartbreak here, but there's so much resilience, and we're ready to help people.
Mary Jane Mudd is with the American Red Cross of the Texas Gulf Coast. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And if you want to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey, you can give to a number of organizations aiding in the relief efforts, including the Red Cross and the Salvation Army. Donate on their websites or by mobile phone.